make your message and your communication as easy as possible. And that friction really is so dangerous. This is how content should look, particularly in a brochure. The Sean Singh YouTube channel is all about giving viewers a behind the scenes look at what business is really like. If you like the video, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Hi team. So I think this is a 3D, a brochure specifically for 3D. It's not the generic animation brochure. It's a brochure specifically for one vertical under the animation umbrella. Is my understanding correct there? What I would like to know is what is kind of our goal with this? Is it just to convey how our 3D services work? What kind of angle are we coming from? Are we giving an overview to our 3D animation team? As I go through the brochure, I'll just start with this. I thought this was kind of the theme, that when it comes to 3D animation, you need 9 experts for 9 different steps. But with VE, it's kind of turnkey. And I think that's a good narrative to have, or theme for this. That that's kind of the main point we're trying to get across. And when you get that point across, you convey also your capabilities and some of the work you've done, and you end up covering more than that as you articulate this. So that's fine, and that's good, and no problem or issue with that. But I think it's important to be clear on what we're trying to achieve with this brochure. The brochure features a narrative through a 3D animation virtuoso Pixie has consistently come to the rescue of our valued clients. See, that doesn't clearly answer, what the goal of this brochure is, or what we're trying to communicate to customers. But anyway, let's move past that. This is okay. It's a little bit cliche, but hey, you're allowed to be a little bit cliche and a little bit generic. Marketing puffery there's always going to be an element of that. So I'm not going to be too critical of this, although I don't feel it does justice to what comes later. I think you could have a better start. This, I didn't really understand this. I found this really quite confusing, and that friction really is so dangerous. It's really, really off-putting for the reader, and we are far more motivated, so we'll kind of push through it or give the benefit of the doubt. Make your message and your communication as easy as possible. I'm completely clueless what's going on. My goal is to capture the nostalgic thrill while ensuring it's appealing and accessible to today's gamers. I'm clueless with what this means. And then because there's no company or client name or anything, it lacks credibility as well. So I'm just looking at this like, is this something you've made up? So if we're not going to disclose the client, which at some occasions is fine, and you can't always do that, at least be clear here and tweak this content, because it's not. I don't understand. You see, you have to be very, and this again goes back to the meeting we had, I think it was a week or two ago, about logical coherence. Like, what does this mean? The epic battle begins in the battle with who? In the ever-evolving dynamic world, clients face a formidable array of challenges. I don't know what the challenges are. It's very, very ambiguous, vague, and you're making me work to try and get something out of this. I don't have a clue what's going on. And this as well, virtual employees. Sorry, and this is a key point as well. Virtual employees Pixie, your 3D animation hero, turns vision into vibrant realities. So honestly, genuinely, if I didn't know VE and what VE does, I would have thought this was like some bot or some software or some AI. That's kind of the literal, and like virtual employees Pixie, right? I actually genuinely think that this is going to be. It's a little bit like, remember that smart clip thing that we had in Word 20 years ago, like a little assistant, digital, something like that is what I would think. So I think this also adds and builds in a lot of friction and ambiguity, because I don't really understand what the service is. So you have one of two options: either change the theme, which admittedly might be difficult, or qualify what is Pixie, like introducing you to virtual employees Pixie, and Pixie is going to walk you through how our team or Pixie captures or represents, rather, how our team works. Qualifier like that goes a very long way. Can you see how that can shift? That you understand that this is a metaphor, that Pixie is a metaphor for the team, but there's nothing there to communicate that to me. I think this has a place, but again, I think it's have no fear. Pixie is here. Meet Pixie, VE's animation, diving into the world of visuals with, like, I genuinely increasingly believe that this is, this bot or this character is who I'm going to be working with. This is the problem with this. I genuinely actually think I'm going to be working with Pixie now. Diving into a world of visuals and unmatched friend, Pixie is here to transform your creative visions to awe-inspiring realities. Palette of animation, right? He weaves together pixels and frames to capture captivating story. So, like, I genuinely believe that this is some technology you've developed that will do this for me, like a software almost. So I'll tell you, even more confused at this stage. Now, this I think is a far better example of clarity, and just keeping it simple and it working very well. This is self-explanatory. I understand. 3D animation usually needs 9 different steps. Experts for nine steps. With VE, things change. You hire one Pixie. Rather, I think you work with you get a team of experts, and one point of contact who is a technical individual themselves. You hire a Pixie, and then you might qualify that. You can say you can hire one Pixie, and how does Pixie leverage these 9 experts, or work with the team, or how does, through this one point of contact, you get access to these 9 different experts. You hire one Pixie who does it all, making the whole process smooth and easy. Great, fantastic. I can see this is easy, very, very easy, and it's appealing. Oh, I have to normally work with 9 different experts for 9 different steps. You do it all for me. That makes me, I can see the value in that. That is something that I want. Whereas here, on the previous slides, whilst I can see some projects which look impressive, because everything around that is confusing, I'm kind of detracted from that. And I don't really understand what's going on here. It's my expectations are diminishing, and as my expectations are diminishing, increases the probability that I will click away, or I won't pay attention, or I will lose focus as I engage with your brochure, if not leave. And that frustration is starting to creep in. Anytime we don't really understand what's going on, we start to get frustrated. So the first 3, also I think his first 3 slides, definitely I think a rethink is needed there. And just simplicity. This is a very good slide. This is how content should look, particularly in a brochure. So let's continue through. The mastery of 3D. Imagine watching an animated character on the screen, a simple image, right? So yeah, okay. I mean, I wouldn't say it's the greatest content, but you're laying the foundation for what's to come. I can follow this. How does the 3D animation? How does the 3D magic? 3D animation magic happen? Great. Okay, I have a clear understanding of what this content is about, and I can decide now if it's relevant to me, and I can see how you do it. Clear, simple. I understand the goal. I understand the objective. I can understand this. I can see the value, and I can decide for myself if the value if this value is something that is applicable to me. Simple. So I'd say this works. Then as we go through this, yeah, this is good. I can see your method, I can see your methodology, I can see your process, I can see the steps, I can see how you think about 3D animation, and I can decide for myself if this is something that I want or I deem valuable. I can see the tools you've used, that's fine. I can see something. I mean, this would be good if I could click on this, which I assume I can do, which is good, so that's credible. You got some good quotes here. Yeah, I'd say this works. This is fine. Now, this was a little bit confusing because you're telling me I'm going to work with Pixie, but then handpick the best one, choose your team. But I thought I'd get a team with one Pixie. This is confusing, and that's the problem with confusion. So definitely some good sections. I think the meat of it's there. I think the presentation could be better. I think we need to do some rethinking, and we need to be clear in our minds. What are we trying to convey or communicate? I think it's kind of getting the feeling it's 2 things we're trying to communicate. One is the 9 different experts you need, and then the second thing we're trying to communicate is this concept of a Pixie that is a metaphor for how our services work. You always have to remember and keep in mind that customers do not know you anywhere near as well as you know yourself. So again, it's the curse of knowledge, which is a very, very tricky one. But if you really literally look at this, is it not easy to walk away with that conclusion? And, it is possible that we could have developed something like this, right? I mean, it is possible you've developed some type of animation assistant that partially automates the work, or non-technical clients could certainly, I think, form that impression. And maybe even technical clients could get confused and not immediately pick up that this is a metaphor. In which case, we need to rethink the game plan here. Thank you, team, and hope it helps. And overall, I would say good work. Video and would like to learn more about what business is actually like, don't forget to hit the subscribe button.